It's 6
You hear
o'clock.
me?
I'm looking at the two of you.
Second.
I didn't hear that.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Good evening, folks. Welcome to the meeting of the Rutland Town Select Board. This is our regular meeting, even though we're having it on Monday, November 4th, because of course the election is tomorrow. It is 6 o'clock. We have a full board with us tonight. Sharon Russell, Matt Getty, Mary Ashcroft, Joe DiNardo, and Kurt Hathaway. So let's take a look at the select board meeting minutes for October 22nd. They're in your packet. Motion's made to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Sharon. Additions, deletions, corrections. If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Abstain.
Abstain. Okay. 4-0-1. Okay, here you go. Any announcements from board members? Update from Select Board Chair. Just a reminder that the circle articles for the circle are due November 15th, so that we can get the circle out in a timely manner. So please, department heads, get your articles in. Thank you very much. And there is something I'd like to discuss, because we're going to start into the budgeting pretty soon, and we've got meetings next week for Fire and Police Committee. Before we get into that, we should have a discussion about what we are looking at for a pay increase, cost of living increase for town employees. So we can do it toward the end of the meeting, but I do want to don't know if people have thought about it, but it would help the budgeting process to kind of know that we're all going in the same direction. Okay, stick that at the end. Did you guys get this? Yep. Okay. Questions from the floor, public comments. I don't see anybody in the audience here that might have something off the agenda, and there's only one person. There's nobody in the waiting room? Wow, okay.
They're all behind. They figured we didn't have a meeting. They'll go show up tomorrow night.
That's right.
Oops. Or they're depressed because it's dark at 6 o'clock.
I know, and that's really hard to come out to a meeting. I was remembering that. Okay, we're moving right along then. Dave Sears, Town Road Commissioner. Good evening.
Caught me by surprise.
Put you at the end and come back.
No, I'm okay with that.
You might be.
So the last couple of weeks, we replaced that culvert down on Seward Road. We paved that ditch the other day, one day last week. I hired A1 to clean the DIs on Post Road. We took about 3 full loads of material out of those 14 structures, some just over 20 yards.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of the frames are held up with bricks. They're all bricked up, and the mortars come out of the bricks, and the bricks are starting to fall in. So that's probably going to be on the list of things to do next year, is to take those all apart and get some risers and kind of fix those up. I have done it many years in the past, so I conducted some confined space training for the guys, because we had to go down to the south end of town and do some inside manhole stuff, and I noticed that nobody from the select board came along, so I was quite depressed about that.
I drove by, I sped up. I saw you over there. I'm like, ooh, yeah, no, I'm out of here.
And that's kind of the same thing we had. We went into 2 different manholes and we pulled 5 bricks out of the inverts. So, and most of that stuff was just off the shelf. So there's some stuff down there starting to come apart. And we had, while we were there, we went across to kind of clean the manhole at Days Inn. Just because it was overflowing and it was such a surcharge and there was stuff hanging. So we opened that manhole and it was half full again. So I had to call A1. So there's a problem going under Route 7.
Doesn't that pipe get smaller?
It does get smaller.
It goes from one size to a little
From-
size and then
Goes
to a
from
big
6
size,
to 4
and then back to.
and then back to 6.
Yeah. And you know what
So-
that means.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and that's kind of concerning because Denny's is actually closed. Right, and it might be open now, but at the time they were closed for remodeling. So basically it was the car wash and Days Inn that was doing what they were doing. A1 went down there, cleaned it for me, and they pulled 2 more soda cans out of it when they flushed it. So I'm not sure where that's coming from or the resourcefulness to get soda cans down a toilet pipe, but I guess if you have plenty of time, you can do these things.
Pull the toilet, drop it in, put toilet back.
I guess.
Yeah, it's the only way, right?
I guess.
Yeah, they're pulling the manhole lid, and stuff
Yeah.
in a manhole, which is a,
Well, it came out of the pipe.
yeah,
You know, it didn't come up until they started to flush it and it backflowed out of the pipe. So it's
from the Days in service.
that's what I'm thinking. I mean, that's the only
Yeah.
logical. It's not coming from the car wash.
Yeah,
Mm.
no.
And Days and Denny's was closed at the time. So we've got that committee meeting coming up on the 14th. I guess we're gonna have to discuss. I've got quite a list going here, but so
Is
that's
there
on.
technology available to replace that without digging up Route 7?
Mm,
I'm not, yes, probably there is, there's pipe bursting. I don't know how big you can go. You can,
I don't know if
you might be able to directional drill it. I mean, they're all big projects. You gotta dig a sending pit and receiving pit and,
Because putting a seam across Route 7 is gonna really hurt.
well, I'm not entirely sure AOT would let you do that. In my past life, when we were doing the John Deere dealer now, which was Alderman's, their water line runs across there and they were not, AOT was like, nope, that's not a thing. So we directional drilled that for water.
yeah,
So I don't think they would let you open cut that.
they've been getting better about it. They let them do it the Core River Road stoplight. That was open trench, but
That's a huge project.
it's an overnight thing.
Yeah. So anyway, we can talk about that going forward. Right now, we're just gonna keep an eye on it and unfortunately, we're gonna have to pay to get it flushed out when it needs to be flushed out.
That's definitely a design flaw.
It's designed for.
Is that the pipe? Who owns the pipe?
Huh?
Who owns that pipe?
I'm assuming that's us.
That would be us.
That's a sewer, that's
Or
us.
Do we have to like admit it? Yeah, okay.
We keep fixing it, or.
I know we
keep-
do.
Jetting it.
And that's not even the one that concerns me.
Oh,
La 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 la. After our little scare last week of driving up Post Road at 5:30 in the morning and snowflakes falling out of the sky, we started to actually set trucks up for winter. So we're 90% there on that. We spent some time at the transfer station on Thursday clearing some trees for Larry, some stuff that was kind of hanging over the fence, and then he had a couple widowmakers up there. And later that afternoon, we actually paved an apron on Post Road because it was 70 degrees and it got missed during the paving project. So it brings us pretty much to current.
hi. Questions, comments, observations? No?
You get,
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so in your packet. I think it's in your packet, right?
I think so. I saw something. in there.
And it's color coded. So if you look at the blue, review for approval, grant reimbursement for post road paving. This is a class 2 roadway grant, and we all get to sign. So reimbursement is 100% of the work is completed. This is a payment request from Fuller Sand and Gravel. It's for post road.
That section from Route 7 up.
Route
to-
7 up, yep.
$98,026.31. Is there any motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Oh, wait a minute, excuse me. Our portion is 19,605.62 because we have to do a match. Is it 20%?
20%.
Right. So the amount of payment is 78,421.04. Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion. Not all in favor, please say aye.
Alright.
Anyone opposed? Okay. I'm gonna pass this along. Anything else?
And you did tell me that you went up and graded Quarter Line Road,
We
right?
did quarter line, yep.
I can't remember if that was if I saw you after the last
I,
meeting
I-
or before.
I was putting this together and I'm like, did I mention that at the last meeting? But I think I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
And we got brownies for it, so
Really?
not brownie points, actual brownies.
Actual brownies from a Clarendon resident?
Well, yes.
It was, I'll tell you, towns that have a lot of dirt roads, I have to traverse to Pulteney, through Castleton's dirt roads and Pulteney's. And there's a big difference going town to town,
Yeah.
how the roads are
Mhm.
taken care of. Pulteney does a really super job of trying to keep them really pretty good. Castleton, not quite so good.
Yeah,
Up
Cass-
there by Pond Hill.
Yeah, that's where I'm
those get
going.
Piss pounded.
That's
Yeah.
where I'm
Oh,
going.
boy.
Those get pounded every Saturday with
Yeah.
rodeo up there.
Castleton's in a bit of a transition too, so
Yeah.
they're working through it.
So,
Anything else? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you. You guys have a good night.
You too.
Ed Dumas, Town Police Chief. Good evening.
Good evening. So if we go through this one here first, the monthly comparison,
Mhm.
the Southland calls, as you notice, it says Southern case is 67,
Yeah,
and you have the number that's yellowed out was 42. That's 42 of the, you go to the next line, it says 172 and 130.
Mhm.
The total number of cases minus the 42 equals, we have a total of 130. So 42 is motor vehicle stops.
oh,
So you notice south end calls went down, but we still had a total of 130 calls for service within the town of Rutland.
okay.
Seems to be, could be wrong, but it seems to be a direct correlation when they stopped the housing program on the Cortina. Our crime rate has gone down in the south end of this town.
nah,
We shall
But
see.
December
1st, it'll pick up again.
Well, we'll see that too.
I don't, carry on. I don't know if we received the last installment.
We were up to date as of, when did I call her? Oh, that's right, because he pays pretty close to the first of the month and today's the 4th, so
Right.
I don't know the answer to that.
Is there
Okay.
a lot going on at the U-Haul or is that really the O'Connell Lodge that's the problem?
At the U-Haul, I think that's gonna be mainly because they had somebody vandalize, trying to break in the cars to steal stuff out of the car. They bounced a rock off tried to break the window, but it bounced off and hit the guy's motorcycle like 3 times, broke chunks off that. And tried to break 2 car windows and with what he was using, a bolt and a hunk of wood and some And it kept bouncing off and hitting the guy's motorcycle. So he had damage on 3 of his vehicles. Nobody got into his cars. But he still had quite a bit of damage on his, especially his wife's car. Yeah.
It just
If
got.
you had video, it'd probably be interesting to watch. But. We did have an uptick in issues at Home Depot. Mainly one, probably there's just a very few number. If we could take care of probably less than 50 troublemakers, we could probably almost make the crime almost disappear. Probably the city would agree with me too. We just got this, right, got the names out of all the people we deal with on a regular basis. Probably less, probably 50, maybe give or take a few. We could probably make things much easier for all of us.
The judicial system is not working. You guys do your job.
They got lots of chances.
Yeah.
But we did get one gentleman who had 5 felonies, 2 misdemeanors over the course of a week. So I spoke to the manager. They stole 90% of the old Milwaukee cordless tools that are on display. $10,000 worth of tools in the course of a couple weeks. But we were able to ID him, and Ted did all the paperwork, and Jared caught him, and they actually held him. So our crime wave at the Home Depot is kind of like mellowed out at this point. That's
So have you or the state's attorneys been able to make use of the new law on excessive thefts?
I think they have to be convicted first. I don't think it works as they're charged, so they have to be convicted each one. So this particular
Nobody's worked
person
their way through
was convicted, but then our state, what is it? Annulled his record, got rid of it. We have to just make it like it never happened type thing. We have to seal things up. So if you look at his criminal histories, he's done nothing because he gets a chance because he's a,
But in this case, if they're going back on different days to get things, ultimately, if they get convicted on each one, they would be able to aggregate them.
I would hope.
One opportunity would be enough. Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it
mean,
makes
why do we give them 2 or 3? Because that's the
it-
new thing.
Because it matters whether or not they can convict them of a felony.
Right.
Because that's why they were going and advantage of the law and making individuals small.
Unbelievable.
Anything else?
So a couple, 3 meetings ago, we've talked about the fingerprint machine for
Yes.
the police department. We keep
Yes.
kicking this around, and so I think that we should purchase this.
I'll second it.
Well.
I do understand that I'm the only person in this room who didn't get a call about this before tonight's meeting.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe you did.
Oh, about the fingerprint machine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talked about anybody that's
So
fingerprint
we're the
machine
2
in a couple
people
of months.
on the police committee who went over this and talked with the chief about it. And now we've got 3 people all set to buy it. And we had decided we weren't going to do it because we were watching the budget. So
I
you're-
understand that, Mary, but my concern is this. If you just hear me out. And understand when I say this, Ed, it's not against the police at all.
No.
You pick up a criminal or a guy that's been in trouble. You take him handcuffed to the station and you interview him, okay?
Correct.
Then you take him back out, put him in the car and take him to the state police and fingerprint him.
Correct.
Okay. It does happen. It's happened in Vermont. They get loose. They're a lot smarter than you are about escaping because you're not a criminal. They are. My concern is one of our police get hurt or they get loose in the neighborhood. And that's my neighborhood and I don't look forward to seeing any of them.
Who called you, Sharon?
Who called me? I'm trying to think.
I'm raising this, folks, because I thought we had a process. And I thought we had an agreement that we weren't going to pursue this. And now, you know,
I don't remember the part about not pursuing it. I thought the part was we were gonna wait and see about the funds to pay for it and how we were
yeah,
gonna
that
pay
was a
for it.
pretty big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so my thought was, and this is, you know, I've thought about it for a while, we are outfitting the operation at the new public safety building. We're trying to get everything in place before it's opened up, and this is one of the loose ends that's out there that was requested, and we're talking $18,000-$20,000. And I had made the comment before about doing this regarding using the Cortina funds. And I've done some figuring. I did miss the last meeting, right? I brought it up at the last meeting, and I apologize for not being here. So that's why I'm bringing it up tonight, because we're getting ready to move in. I think that everything, we're trying to get desks in place. We're trying to get cabinets, stuff for everybody to have. And this is one of the items that has been requested as part of the infrastructure of the building. So I was trying to figure out a couple of ways to do this. And my thoughts were, what I was going to bring up 2 weeks ago, was that we would take and authorize the PD to purchase this under their new equipment. At the end of the year, if their budget is overdrawn, or if we are in the red, say in that budget, we can pay for that and use the Cortina funds. I'd rather do it that way, because if Ed's budget is, the total budget is whatever number of thousands of dollars, and it's not overcome spring, then that one line item is, we do this for numerous other purchases in other departments. We've done the same thing. If they overspend new equipment, I think we had to do it for some stuff for Chris. I think we overspent your new equipment because you needed something or whatever. I don't remember exactly, but the point being is we could do the same thing with the PD, and we do have those funds that we have there that are for the police department, and that's what that's for. Then we could just make sure that there isn't a deficit at the end. And that's why I was going to bring it up. And I've been thinking about this ever since we talked about it, because we're trying to get everything in place. And I think we should continue down this road to get everything in place. It's not an expense we had talked about when the building was being designed, because you can't remember everything. And so like I said, I talked to myself numerous days out in the field, and I said, well, we could do this. And then, like I said, I wasn't here last week or 2 weeks ago to bring this up. So I wanted to bring it to your, tonight was my first opportunity to talk about it and see if we could go down that route. And if the rest of the board was in agreement and we could do that. We've done it before in different departments for different things.
So should we also tell the firefighters that we can get the cascade system too? Because the two of them were similarly situated.
They were, and I do believe that we have worked on the cascade system to come up with a plan to purchase it.
Right.
And so I thought we
told the firefighters to fundraise for it. We're going to tell the police officers the same.
Well, yes and no, but I wouldn't for this. No, I think this is an integral part of the operation. That there is backup for this, they have to go somewhere else, state police, city PD, to get fingerprinting done. We're dealing with a little bit different elements of criminals who tend, as Sharon said, to be difficult. And every time you move them or handle them, you could be, I understand all of that stuff. That wasn't even what I was thinking. I was just thinking we're trying to fit it. As far as I was concerned, we figured out the fire stations stuff they needed, and we've made arrangements to get that stuff done. If I misunderstood that, then no, that's on me. But this is part of the infrastructure for that operation of that department.
And what about the ongoing annual maintenance? Because there is a charge.
There is a charge for it. That part of it we'll have to build in.
$3,000 a year.
I think so.
Yeah, so we're coming into budget season. It's just one of the things that has to be built in. It's like the maintenance we build in for everything that we've done, all our computer systems, everything has that. If there's a maintenance program, I think there's annual costs for the record keepings we've done. We're making these projections to do this stuff. I think we should. It's
So
part of the cost of doing business is the way I look at it.
So who called you?
I didn't call anybody. I was doing some work for JP and I asked him about it and we talked about it. That was a couple of days ago.
Thanks for calling me, JP.
So,
No, I'm Mary. Yeah.
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 This is not an ego thing, okay?
No,
This
it
is- let me
isn't, but-
finish. I'm talking, you asked, all right?
Okay,
This is
I
an
s- I
officer
thanked you.
safety issue, all right? You shouldn't have to be buckling up criminals, rebuckling them. And I was not pleased with your response as chairman of this board to say, well, that's something we can put in the budget for next year and make these officers exposed to this for an entire year. So yes, I went out and I counted to 3
Mhm.
because that's what we do. And I didn't call you because I knew that this is exactly what I would receive from you.
JP, we had a meeting on this. We had a police committee meeting on this to talk about it. We asked to see the specs. We went through the process. The chief was there. I think Ted was there, if I remember correctly. Were you there?
I don't remember.
So it wasn't that important that you weren't there. But then you're going and I'm trying to hold the budget on this project.
Well, if you're
I'm
concerned
trying
about the
that.
budget, the police budget should come in at a surplus. We're already 6
Right.
months into funding a position that we never had to pay for. So the money is right in this current police budget to pay for this machine.
Mhm.
And on an issue of officer safety, I really don't understand any resistance.
JP, it isn't a resistance to officer safety. Clever of you to frame it that way. The reality is we're trying to, first of all, treat both departments fairly. You know, the fire and the police, they both needed extra stuff.
False
We're-
equivalency.
No,
There's no
excuse me,
reason-
you wanted to talk. I let you talk. My turn.
Right.
Okay. We had an opportunity, we vetted this through the police committee. Basically, what you did is just ran around the police committee, got your 3 votes, and you're ready to vote on it.
Barry, there was nothing wrong with what I did. I'm advocating for a position I
Mhm.
believe in. You didn't accept that advocacy
Right.
the first time around.
You didn't advocate the first
I
time
most
around.
certainly did. I've been advocating for this APHIS machine since it first came up.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because I feel like maybe I'm missing something here from the discussion that we've had, and I don't know if it didn't come up or I didn't understand it, or because you weren't there when we had it, or what the deal is, but is there an operational issue with the new building and how prisoners will be handled that will be different from what you're doing now, as far as fingerprinting and
From right now, we don't take anybody here. We usually go to the barracks or we go to the city.
okay?
They're processed
So-
all in one location.
Right. We process
That's
them
the
on one
effort
location.
behind getting this.
Processed there, and then if they're going to jail, they then get delivered to jail from state police barracks or the city.
But there's quite a difference because then we gotta sit there and write an affidavit at the state police barracks. We don't have access to computers. We have to rely on them to do all this stuff. And you built a multi-million-dollar building so that we could do our work
I
there.
understand that, but if it, say it took another 6 months before we bought it or something, the process is still the same as what it has been, right?
no, because they're
No,
gonna be
it's different
interviewing
because
people.
we'll be able to take them to our police station. The process will be, instead of going directly to the state police or directly to the city police, we go to our station. We can hold them there, we can do what we have to do, and we get the charge, whatever, then state attorney's good with the charge, and then we have to take and photograph and fingerprint them, and that's when we have to move them down to another location to do that. That would be a different process. I mean, the process is the same, but where we're doing it now is gonna be different. We're not gonna start off at the state police or start off at the city police.
Okay,
We'll be
but
starting off at
my,
our
my
office.
point is like, if you don't have the machine right away, you would continue to do the same thing that you're doing now.
We have to.
You-
So,
you got-
Well, it'd
my-
be different. We would still go to the PD, our own PD first. Now, and the last thing we do would be photograph and fingerprint. So we
So add
another
take them
step.
out of holding, we buck them up again, put them in their cruisers, cruise down.
So
to
are you
state police.
saying, so it's an extra step that you don't have now because you're gonna go to our station first before you go do that?
Yeah, we don't have to bore other people's spaces and be a guest. I think that's why we built a police station.
We're talking past each other here. If you don't have the machine,
We have
You
to
arrest
go, we have to
somebody.
go somebody else, someplace
Go-
else to arrest.
Okay. I
Take to
understand.
photograph and fingerprint.
But what I'm trying to understand is, if you arrest somebody, do you then go to the barracks and do all that? Or are you saying you would have to come to our station first, then go to the barracks and then come back?
We'd probably just go to the barracks, and depends on what we're gonna do at that point in time. Then we may go back to the RPD, or we may just
Mm.
release them on a citation, or. we
Yeah, so
take them
my,
back to-
when we talked about this before, my understanding and maybe assumption was that you would go straight to the barracks to do the processing like you would now. And then you would.
No, they go to
No.
the,
I go there now because I have no other place to go. I'm not gonna bring a prisoner to sit town hall and process them here
Right.
to expose townspeople,
So,
employees here to what's going. Sometimes people don't like to be arrested. They're loud and obnoxious until they calm down, then we can kind of work through things usually.
I think
So-
my understanding is still the same, but and my concern is still the same, which is the thing's not inexpensive. I do think we should get it. I do think it is something we should have at the new station, but for me, the timing of it is we have a limited amount of funds left.
So that's
Then-
what we're talking, I got my budget here, so
Okay,
like,
so-
I know I'd overspend in the equipment line, but I think the total budget, we would be under budget at the end of the year. Yes, it's not quite halfway through the year, but
So we have a police committee meeting scheduled, so can we revisit this in that committee meeting? Rather
that
than
was,
do,
that was my intention. Ted and I were gonna bring it up.
okay, because then otherwise this becomes a committee meeting, but it seems to me it's something that needs to be analyzed in the context of the budget, because if we can do that, then great. I'm not sure how that would shake out just off the top of my head.
I don't agree with you
But
because,
can I
me-
just? I'm
yeah, you
almost
can
done. I'm
finish,
almost
but I
done.
want my say too.
Okay, so just with respect to the capital improvements money, I mean, there's a limited amount of that left, and
I'm
we
not-
still have issues
Wait,
coming
wait,
up.
Let Matt
I just want to
finish.
say that isn't the funds I was talking about.
Okay, well,
And I don't want to touch the capital.
We
improvement funds
also-
till the dust settles.
that's fine. But I'm not sure we have a great handle on the Cortina,
Yeah.
where the Cortina is gonna shake out either, which
Well,
we can try to assess, I feel like in a
That's
committee
why-
better than.
and I don't mean to interrupt you, Matt. I apologize for that, and you too, Sharon. The point I was making is nothing is going to be, in my opinion, in 6 months, nothing's going to be different because we're going to be in the same budget. So we're not going to know anything really one way or the other. I do not believe realistically we are spending the entire 22,500 or thereabouts we're getting from Cortina every month. It would be almost impossible for your guys to work that much.
Well, the thing about it is the select board set aside 150,000 of that money.
Right.
And we haven't worked down to the plaza. I don't want to say this for quite some time at night because we want to make sure there was enough money to cover what the select board promised. Because there's discrepancy. Last couple of meetings, I said, first we had 89, then we had 67, then I looked and we had 40. I go, what do we have?
But we're still getting paid every month, right? As far
We
as we know.
don't know.
Don't know
this
about
month.
today.
We were paid last month.
Right.
The first fell on Friday.
Right,
I
so we
didn't
don't know.
check.
So I mean, they are current as far as we know. They have paid through October
Yes.
and they
October's-
haven't missed any payments.
Yeah, no.
So if you do really quick math, we're 8 months left in the fiscal year. You're talking roughly $160,000 coming in, depending on what's actually there and what you guys are working. We can beat that, if you can't, you're gonna work whatever hours you can and make this all work out. But I'm not saying take the money out of there now. I'm waiting to the end of the fiscal year on June 30th, see where that budget is. And like you're saying, there's going to be a 5 or 6 month period where you don't have a school resource officer. We have funded that position at about, I think our portion is 30 or 35,000. So that funds are not going to be spent for 6 months. The school puts in, and they will, kick in their share. So we have a fully funded position, but we're only going to use probably 6 months of it. That leaves some surplus in your budget that could cover this. And that's where I was thinking at the end of the year, we'll see where we are, if that budget is short, because I believe if the police budget is short, at the end of the fiscal year and there's money in the Cortina fund, that's how you offset the shortage, which would be a lot simpler than the process we've been trying to do with percentages and stuff. And I want to talk to you guys about this as we go through the budgets. Yeah, we came up with this 10 or 12%.
Remember that Matt and I had a
Yep.
meeting about the Cortina fund and we tried to,
Figure it out. Yeah, and I knew that there,
and we had moved away from the percentage.
yes, and we should just come up with try to simplify that expenditure so it's much easier to track that money. And then we can offset deficit. But that was why I thought we'd bring it up and try to get this moved forward. I want to have stuff in place when that building opens and when those folks are there. And I kept thinking about this. We had these long discussions and we're going to think about this. And I'm thinking we're talking $18,000 to $20,000 on a $5.2 million building. I know it's a small portion of it, but we have figured out ways to get by every single hurdle. And it was just like, for some reason, this one piece of equipment didn't just seem all that excited. If I knew what the funds were, Mary, to get back to your original question to me about the cascade system for the fire department, I'd have no problem with just spending the 80,000 and let them buy it because I know how that works and what it is. They do have, just like Ed does. There is a backup. There is a backup.
Hasn't finished and Sharon wants to speak. to
But
it.
anyway.
I'm all set.
Okay, Sharon?
You know, I just feel like we don't have a say on this board. I start to talk, I'm told to be quiet, and everybody else gets
Why
a
you were
chance.
interrupting me? Is that the part you're complaining about?
Okay.
No, I'm
fine.
damn sick of you. How do you like
can-
that?
You have
Okay,
your
okay.
opportunity to speak. You go right ahead and I'll take mine when I have it.
Go
go
right
ahead.
ahead.
Jesus.
Sharon, do you have anything further you want to say on this?
Yeah, I do have what I want to say.
And I think you started. You didn't want us to look at it in the next meeting that we've got next week? Because that's, you were about to say something you.
No, I did
disagree-
not say that.
Okay,
I did not say that.
okay.
But it seems to me, if we've got the money that we can do it, they need a fingerprinting machine. It makes sense. Maybe it doesn't to you, and maybe you think I don't have a brain or a place to put one, but I am offended by the way I'm being treated on this damn board. And it's not right. Can I ask a question of you? Is there any money in that fund that we're not gonna have to spend? Is there any difference?
Well, at the risk, I think I probably should give a trigger warning before I answer that. Okay, we actually have some good news in that we didn't run into any ledge that interfered with the project when we removed the trailer.
Good.
So that's a $25,000 to $30,000 ledge removal savings right there.
Well, I think when we have the building, we should have everything there. If it goes over budget, then we'll have to adjust. But I think both chiefs need the equipment they need. And we're not a little town anymore. And we need to take care of business. And that's just my statement, but I'll shut up for you folks.
You need the APHIS machine, Ed?
I mean, we need it at some point. We need.
You're the chief. I want to hear from you. I mean, hearing from the constable that
Right.
writes speeding tickets doesn't mean as much as from the chief that
It's-
actually
Let's put it
handles
this way,
this.
it would make life a lot easier for us if the APHIS machine was there. I was willing to not have it before because I knew we were short in the Cortina funds. We didn't know what was going there. And rather than lose an officer position for an APHIS machine, I'm like, I'll take the officer, not the APHIS machine. That was my thinking at that point in time.
Mhm.
But if we do have the funds, if we can find it in my current budget without affecting the building anyway, I'd be more than glad to, that'd be nice.
Well, that was my next question is you always have a good grip on your budget. Do you think that you can find that money in your budget?
I think so,
Okay.
but I'll discuss it with
Yeah.
my
That's
police
my only
board. and-
concern
I
is do
think
we have the
that's-
money or
Right,
not?
I
think
get
that's
that,
the
and I
best
don't
thing
want to
to-
spend money we don't have either. so,
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
Oh, you've always been good with your budget.
I think what Matt and I came with when we talked about this about 6 weeks ago was it is a need at some point, but
Yeah.
this was not the time.
So
If anybody thinks that, like,
See,
we're raising an
so-
objection because we don't support the police department,
Yeah.
that's way off
that's
base
wrong.
and totally contrary to, I think, our record on this board.
because there is some time where we didn't have certain people on payroll. So,
Mhm.
you know, if you guys can go over that as a, police committee and figure out, maybe it's 15,000 that we can come up with out of there, and we can figure out where to get $3,000 somewhere, And I think that's the appropriate next step, is to figure out what there is for money in that budget and what we have for room and what we can do with it.
Can I ask JP something? You said that we didn't find ledge. Great news. Was that, I have the site improvement money that we had set aside.
We had never allocated any more money for additional ledger. We had expended the contractual amount, so if
Yes.
we had to remove ledger, it was gonna be extra.
Well, exactly. So when we came in and we talked about all of the extra things we needed to set aside out of capital improvements, we had the amount of 78,735 for site improvements, including guardrail. Did that include some amount for ledge removal, or were we just kind of fingers crossed on that one?
Fingers crossed.
Okay.
Because we had already expended and gone over the ledge removal allocation in the contract.
Okay. So it's a savings in a way, but we hadn't budgeted, so we can't really say, oh, we've just freed up $33,000 out of what we'd set aside
33, we don't got to spend
from some other
somewhere place
source,
that we
some
don't know
other
where that's
source.
coming
Yeah, okay.
some other pocket.
All right.
It just, and the people on site were mystified because they were guaranteeing that there was gonna be ledge because of
Yeah.
the way the vein ran. and
Yeah.
it just dropped.
Hey, I'll take it.
It might bother when we go to put the flagpole up, but that's a drilling versus a blasting.
That's
so-
another, we got that later on the agenda when you're up here. All right. So the question is, there's no motion on the floor right now. The question is whether the select board agrees that the police committee should take a look and take a second look at the APHIS question, see what funds were a third of the way through the year, roughly, what funds may be available with vacancy savings, what the Cortina fund trends might be, and what was the other thing, and capital,
Stay
if
away
we
from that.
have to.
I'd stay away from the capital.
I would
I'd like to try
too.
to keep it in the Cortina funds or in Ed's budget. And if you guys, if you have those dollars that you're not expending for the SRO, that should theoretically cover most of this. But you can sit down and look at that. All right? Do you have a person in mind to fill that position?
Yes, we do have somebody, and we've gone through the whole gamut of what we have to do as far as hiring them. And at this point in time, I just had to mail and request something from his prior department for something that we have to do, a new law they passed, to see if there's anything in his background that we need to know about. And it's up to, once we do that, then it's up to them to send us information if there is any information.
And do you have an anticipated start date?
Right after probably the first part of January.
First part of January.
Yeah.
So there'll be that beginning part of your budget where those dollars weren't expended.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I'm just trying, I can't remember the numbers exactly. I believe that this school kicks in about 35,000 toward that position, I believe.
It's 37,100.
Yeah.
And then we have matching funds for that position for the year. So that comes out to about $74,000. So there should be, for the months that this person wasn't on staff, because it's a full-time position within our
Mhm.
department, but they only work at the school for
There's other savings. I'll take it up. I'll tell the select board or the police commission when we get there. Some more discussion about the person and
Now,
yes.
it's possible, because we've run into this before, we've budgeted for 58,386 for the school resource officer. We've got reimbursement from the school of 37,100. We often get hit with a request to see if we can do something to up the salary level.
Right.
I don't know whether we're going to hear it this time.
Well,
Okay, so we don't have all of that vacancy
Right.
savings.
Well, that's,
Okay.
there's
but we'll be only,
more to, I mean,
the point too, Mary, is we'll only be paying that salary for 6 months out of this budget. So if we
Yeah.
had 60 or 70,000, we should be able to accommodate 6 months of hire and still come out ahead.
Yeah, I get the math.
Yeah.
But I'm saying there's not as much savings as we might have
There's a few
anticipated.
more other moving parts.
Yeah, we
Insurance
should
we
talk
talked
about
about.
it. So it looks like our budget committee meeting is a little more extended.
Yes.
Then, okay, we'll just make sure if Bill would increase the agenda to reflect the other stuff. Thank you.
That's any
Is
other
that
business.
okay with people instead of taking it up and voting it tonight?
I'm good with it.
Because there's no motion on the floor. Okay, that's what we'll do. Anything else for our town police chief? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you
Um,
for
Thanks,
all
Ed.
your time.
Will you, tomorrow's voting at the 2 polling places? Are we
I will be here,
expecting-
another officer will be at the school, and another officer switched his days, they'll be working the road, so
Okay,
I'll have coverage.
great, thank you very much. All right, Mike Rowe, Town Rec Director. Sure.
Mind if I go next?
He's
I have a
got,
monthly meeting in 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, please. We were kind of surprised to see you, please. Chris Clark, Town Fire Chief.
Super quick.
Okay,
I have a couple applications
okay,
for approval that Ed checked out for me, so they're both good. One's a Jacob Stamey, lives on Flory Heights, senior member, and one is a Emilio Strangeway. He lives on North Street in Rutland. He's also, I think he's 19.
okay.
Um,
We're okay with our Rutland City versus Rutland Town ratios?
yeah.
Okay,
We've been trying to clean up the roster because we have quite the waiting list going on, so,
okay.
but that's all I got. If you
Okay,
want.
is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the 2 folks for senior firefighter and Rutland City, a junior or no?
He'll be a senior
He'd be-
also.
Okay, 2 senior firefighters. Any discussion or questions? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I think we all signed that.
Yep.
So,
And then while you're signing, just one thing I was gonna bring up at our budget meeting.
Mhm.
I talked to Dave about repaving the Center Rutland Fire Station parking lot.
Okay.
It's starting to fall apart, but I also would like to dig across it and put a storm drain in for where the gutters come down off the roof.
but we did that.
We put in a pipe
Put in a
that
blind
goes
drain.
behind the flower planters, but it's not deep enough, so it freezes. So none of the water goes down it. So if we do decide to pave it, it would be the time to just dig across the parking lot.
Okay, and that would be in next year's budget or?
Right,
Okay,
right.
all right.
Yeah, and when I talked to Dave, he said he could put it in the pave schedule, but I don't know how it works. I just want to
Yeah,
bring it up
yeah.
since we
Okay,
won't meet again until after our meeting.
That's so 2014, so that's like just
10
about
years.
11 years.
yeah, and I don't know if it was really ever paved quite thick enough.
It's cracking out.
So that's the question I have for you when it's your turn.
okay, here you go. Okay. What did we do wrong the first time? Because I thought we had
Well,
fixed it.
originally it was supposed to be grass right there,
Yeah,
and then they paved the whole parking lot.
and because they needed more parking space. I
Right.
kind of remember
And
that.
then they ran the gutters across the entire building, like on the siding
Yeah,
and down to a pipe in the ground, which they cut across the parking lot, and it goes to the culvert
Wait,
and right on the side of Route 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
yeah,
And the
That
gutters
may not have
going,
been properly prepared for pavement.
right, but the gutters, they always froze up top, so they took the gutters off the top and they went straight down by the garage door and they dug a new hole. They cut more pavement up in front of the flower planter things and ran the pipe across the parking lot, not towards the swale, towards where it used to go in. It just freezes up because it's not deep enough.
That's what's
So-
been of a mess right in there.
and the planters went in, so people wouldn't run into the fire building.
Right,
Yeah,
Into your office
yeah,
right.
or the,
yeah. Okay,
coordinate that. They'd have to rip that up and redo some stuff and make sure that, because you can't really raise that parking lot, so the pavement's got to go.
Right.
And then they do all the
I just want a
infrastructure you
storm
want.
drain right where the gutters
Yep.
come down the side of the
Put
building.
it out there.
All
You
right.
might have to, put some
So that's,
styrofoam and stuff.
so
over it.
Dave will help, but that's
Right,
mostly fire committee.
right.
Okay. All right, so that would be part of our meeting, Sharon.
So next Thursday, 4 o'clock.
Whatever's on the agenda. Yeah, that sounds right.
Perfect. That's all I got.
Thank you. Any questions for our fire chief? Did you help with setup of the booths for voting?
I did run up and
Thank
do
you
the
very
booths.
much. Appreciate it.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
have a
you.
good evening.
You too.
All right, Mike Rowe, Town Rec Director.
Good evening. How are
Good
you?
evening.
I don't have much other that basketball is signups are getting underway, which means the winter is approaching. I did confirm the date for the senior luncheon on the 21st, which is a Thursday at the Center Rutland Station. Bill will help me kind of set up. We're getting it catered, for lack of a better word, from the Maple Angus. So that will be a fun experience for the seniors back over there. We did it a couple of years ago and then we got away from it, but it always seemed to go very well over it in that nice area in their break room area. So I'm just taking count for people to attend.
It's good to go to.
The
folks.
other senior luncheon is set to at the school with the band. That is on the 17th of December. So the band and the meal is all set in the cafeteria for the seniors to come and join. The Halloween party, a huge thank you to the police and to the fire department, though there wasn't much of a battle that I thought there would be for candy because the fire department brought candy and the police department didn't. But I did see the police department. I did see the police department going over there taking a few liberties with the candy. And I do thank both of the departments showing up. We had over 450 people go through our trick or treat on the trail with this year's 8th grade, the ones that came up with all of the activities in the games, and they ran it themselves. So it was well attended. It was a beautiful night, and we will continue with that tradition moving forward. So that was huge. Bill even was there. Bill was there. I think he was fire, so he was eating the candy. He went through it. So if you have questions, I thought the kids did a really nice job this year. Other than that, the water was shut off at all of our parks, so we are now hopefully bone dry until the spring. And we should be good to go. Other than that, unless you have questions, my only other question is when will we get budget sheets? Like when, let me ask you this, back up before the budget sheets.
Mhm.
When do we typically have our presentation to you with our budget? Meaning we met with committee and then we come to you. Is that like the beginning of December? I'm trying to remember the timetable. Is that the
So
December?
fire committee and police committee are meeting next week to work on the budget. So I'm not sure if rec committee has set up a budget meeting for that yet.
No, I was waiting for the
Yeah, the
sheets
sheets.
to
yeah.
do that.
Well,
So, but I
Kari's
can,
going to be up in a minute.
and that's
so we can
okay.
ask.
So I can actually set up a meeting to discuss that.
Mhm.
Okay. And then Bill, did you say the 10th of December meeting is going over our budgets?
That's the meeting set for, yep.
Okay. So I will be in touch with the two of you. We can set up a time to meet to go over that.
Okay.
That was my only other question. So whenever they come out, great. Unless you guys have anything for me.
Any other questions for the rec director? No? Okay,
Awesome,
thank you
thank
very
you.
much. All right, Barbara Noyes Pulling, Town Planning Commission.
Yes, hi, good evening.
Hi, Barbara.
Just, hi, everybody. Just a couple,
Try the audio again.
uh-oh. Can you hear me now?
Okay, try again.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Okay, why don't you,
Huh. Okay, holding.
Go to the next one.
Oh, go ahead to somebody else and you'll figure out what's going on. Okay, gotcha.
Something's got to be muted.
I think so. Is Larry on? Okay. Marcia Chioffi. Okay. And we did the fire chief, Kari Clerk, town clerk and treasurer.
Good evening.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Your box lit up. Hi, Kari.
Can you hear me?
All right. The system's broke.
Maybe it is our side.
Oh, no.
I think it is your side.
Kari, we can't hear you. And Bill is,
Broke it.
Can you hear me now?
yes, thank you.
I could hear Barbara, so I don't know why you couldn't hear her.
Huh, interesting.
That's it.
All right.
So you can still hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Let me see. I basically just hopped on here because for anybody that might be listening before tomorrow, just another gentle reminder that it is so important that if you have chosen to come to the polls tomorrow and vote in person, which is totally fine, please, 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 please bring your ballot with you. We're kind of in a little bit of a conundrum because the state only gave out a certain amount of ballots to us, and this time they kind of undercut us a little bit. I don't think they anticipated how many people were going to lose them or destroy them or other things, and also all the new people that are registering. So we may, I'm not saying that we're going to run out of ballots because we have a plan, but if you hear this and you are coming tomorrow, bring your ballot. It is so important. So that's basically what I wanted to say. We have over 50% of ballots turned in, and that is for both sides. So we're doing pretty well. There are a ton of absentee ballots to open and put through the tabulator tomorrow. So Mary, get ready.
Yeah, Sharon's here too, so. Mike Rowe has his hand raised. Do you want to take a question for Mike?
I already know his question and I have an answer for Mike.
Yeah, you don't know my question?
Yeah, I do. I heard it.
I don't have my ballot.
I guess you can't vote.
You're serious, correct?
No, I'm not serious. First, let me answer the first question. So the budget sheets are finished. They've been finished, but we are completely inundated with this election. And I just needed another set of eyes on my actual numbers so that I didn't type anything in wrong into your charts. So that's what I'm waiting on. And we just don't have the time right now. So they are done and ready to go, but they will be finalized maybe by the end of the week if we get a moment.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's okay. Oh, that's fine.
Thank you, Kari, because we've got,
I appreciate that.
our two committee meetings are next week anyway, so.
Right.
We're good.
Yeah.
We're in good shape. Thank you.
But so
as
you're
far
telling me
as-
I can vote.
As far as
Because I'm
Mike,
not gonna get up early.
so you don't have your ballot?
Yeah, I have no idea. I think I chucked it. Well, listen,
Are you being serious?
I'm like 99% serious that I threw my ballot away.
Okay.
Why
So
would I go in person?
Right,
Okay.
but there's no ballots here.
the
That's
answer
why they mail them to you.
the answer to your question is yes, we have ballots. Yes, you can vote. I cannot deter anyone from coming to vote. That is just not something that I would ever do anyway. But this is like a PSA for everybody that's listening the next time this happens, and I've been telling people every time they've been telling me this, do not misplace your ballot. Do not destroy your ballot. Do not burn it. Do not throw it away. Bring it to us or keep it until polling day. Nothing wrong with it. Some people have a what?
So if I write it on a napkin, will that count too?
Yeah.
I can't find it, and I put my ballot on top of a napkin and then bring that in. I'm kidding, Kari. Thank you. You answered my
By hand
question.
ones.
I
You know,
get it. I
There's one at every
apologize in
polling
advance for
place.
being an idiot.
So,
Thank you for answering my question.
This is a broken system that I don't
Actually, the voting system is pretty.
I don't understand what's wrong with just going to the polls. And getting out. I understand.
important?
I
Tell
had
when
this
you vote.
I had this conversation with Kari today
Sorry.
when I came in and brought the ballots, the voted ballots, and took me a while to figure out which stack it was in, but I knew it was in a stack. And I thought 4 years ago, there was a lot of confusion about voting by mail, a lot of problems afterwards, a lot of accusations, and it's still going on. So what do? We do it again. And I just don't understand, it's in the concerns have been starting. So hopefully, I wished her good luck for tomorrow, because, there's going to be people coming in here and they're like, huh? Aren't we supposed, yeah.
Well,
But
so for
I'm sorry, Kari, go ahead.
so we have really been preparing for this day for quite some time. We're getting guidance, obviously from the state of Vermont, but among ourselves, we're trying our best to ensure that we've got all of our T's crossed, all of our I's dotted. So I think on our end, we've done every possible thing that we can to make sure that tomorrow runs smoothly. Now, of course, there's outside factors that we're prepared for. So yes, the good luck is definitely something that everyone should be thinking about for every town clerk out there. I'm hoping that it goes smoothly. I don't see the need for it not to go smoothly. So I look forward to seeing people tomorrow, but we will be fully staffed. Even more so, we will have police presence, and we have a plan in place for anything that doesn't seem like normal activity. So just to put it out there.
Thank you very much. And
everything you can do.
the folks in the town clerk's office with you. Big effort. And we'll see you, well, tomorrow and then tomorrow night too, as we do the auxiliary votes and the write-ins.
Yes, and I have a plan written out, Mary. If you're here before, sort of a side note, if you're here before at town hall before me, everything's laid out on the counter, and I have teams set up and everything ready to go, so that we can start to be pretty efficient right off.
Okay, so question for you, just in case I'm here before you are.
Mhm.
Are you still going to do one side at a time?
Yeah,
West
so
side?
I'm anticipating that, the west side obviously has the ballots right there that they bring up, and then I travel. So you'll start with the west side, and if there are any auxiliary ballots on the west side, that's your priority.
Yep.
And then when I get there, if I have any, then it'll be the east side auxiliary.
Okay.
And then, I don't know if you saw the whiteboard, but I kind of put a list.
I'm looking at it. Yes, indeed. Okay.
And then we can move to write-ins eventually, but we want to make sure we get the numbers in right away, so we're not all there forever. So obviously, so the results can get in a prompt manner as well too. So
Okay.
yeah. So
Great. Any questions for our town clerk or treasurer? Okay, thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right, let's see, Mike Delehanty, Town Constable, is not on. John Paul Fagnant, Town Health Officer, Public Safety Building Clerk, and Second Constable.
So we did get an estimate on that vent for the extractor. And they wanted to stress to you that this is really a rough estimate just based on the engineer and the architect going to the scene and figuring how they could retrofit. It's gonna be, they estimate between $3,000 and $4,000, which was significantly less because they came up with a way to avoid having to go through the platform of one of the roofs. They're gonna do that on the inside of the building. They only have to go through the main roof. So.
Now, this is not the dryer vent.
This is the extractor vent.
Extract, so that's the washing machine, but they anticipate there's enough volatiles and
Off-gassing. The minute that the engineer found out that some of the gear that goes in there could be exposed to hazardous chemicals and materials, he said, then you can't vent it on the inside of the building. The original plan was to vent it into the bays. And the thought was that it wouldn't generate too much moisture because the machine probably won't be used that much in the course of the year. But if you did get into a situation where it was exposed to the chemicals, you can't off-gas those into the bay area.
This is for the washer portion.
The extractor is the name of the machine. Yeah,
Right,
there's a
and then-
separate washing machine going in.
Right, there's also
A dryer.
dryer.
The dryer's been ordered, and that's already been, there's a exhaust for that dryer already been designed into. the
Okay, so because of the nature of what they're washing, so if we just said that this was a gear washing machine, it would be easier for everybody to understand that that's what that is rather than the extractor.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that washes to get, so any contaminants that are on that gear, if there's any gases, they would, like your normal house washing machine, those are in your house. The lids are not tight. This machine is airtight to the point where that stuff needs to be exhausted. Okay.
did we have anything in writing about what?
No, because this just came up last week when I inquired as to, because I didn't know the extractor required an exhaust. And I'm not sure that the architect knew that either, because there
No.
was no exhaust. But when the machine actually came and I looked at the data sheet and it said exhaust, I started asking questions and they said, yeah, that's all right. We're going to exhaust it into the bays. And I did a little bit more research and said, I don't think we can do that. Got the engineer involved and he said, it's got to go outside.
You're not washing just household clothes in there.
No. Okay, so what do you need from us? Obviously, this is another add to, what I'm looking for is that sheet that I keep that has,
The one you just had.
that I just had. Here we
Yeah.
are. Okay. It is not on our sheet.
Just giving you a heads up that it's coming,
Okay,
that we've got to do the exhaust and that they'll make a change order. The
okay,
amount of the exhaust and it'll come before you in that fashion. I just wanted to let you know that it's extra money that's coming down the pike.
okay. And that I'm assuming will come out of our,
Somewhere.
well, it was 179,600, and then we took out the antenna and the racks for 12,770. So it's down to 167. So this 3,000 or 4,000 will have to come out of that. Okay,
Other
so
than that,
no vote yet. That's for Kari if she's on. Okay.
I think they anticipate putting the first 2.5-inch layer of blacktop on this week. There's some discussion going on as to whether they're going to wait till the spring to do the
So-
final top coat. It's really going to be weather dependent.
So that's my question.
I understand it's 2.5-inch base and then
Inch and a half.
1
Inch or inch, I don't know. I thought it was an inch finish coat.
Because that was what I was gonna say. I've talked with my resident expert. And his suggestion was to do just the base coat.
Yeah.
And wait till spring to
Yeah.
put the finish coat. Couple of reasons, because if that have any, they're compacting the daylights. They've been driving on it for a summer, but just to, that way you can heal some of the defects with a finish coat. So if Fabian's good with that, or whoever's, because they're kind of overseeing the, or is VMS just overseeing everything? I'm part of that. Who's still overseeing the paving?
Well,
Fabian's doing the prep work,
Right.
but is
they're overseeing, the general's overseeing everything, and
Everything,
Ed's
so-
got his eye, the architect's got his eye on.
yeah, I didn't know if the paving was done, like Fabian does the base work and get it ready, but
And Wilkes is gonna come in.
VMS actually does the hiring of the paving company to do it, but that would be a good recommendation, is just put the base coat down this year and then do the finish coat come spring.
One thing you gotta get on is if we're gonna put a flagpole on the other side of the asphalt, we gotta run a power line over there.
So we were gonna have those chargers, and then stuff started coming through in the National Fire magazines. You don't want a battery charger inside a firehouse, because if it
No.
catches fire. And so we decided the fire department asked that we delete all the chargers, and we had the electrician, he had already wired to the outside. So he
Okay.
extended that wire to the pole location, so we already
Okay,
have the
so
power.
we will have a life of pole.
And he didn't
Alright.
charge for that. It was another 10 or 15 feet of wire, but he said, I can take care of that.
Good.
So is the pole gonna be out of harm's way?
Yes. And it has to be so far from the power line. So it's gonna be sitting, you'll be able to see it going up and down McKinley for sure.
I'm just thinking of snow removal, other abstract things that happen that don't get tangled up into stuff that's. I think, I was just looking at the wall and that, that, by the way, that was pretty neat. That wall, if you'd have watched them build that, it's like Legos and they were putting that together, but that's going to create a difficult situation there for snow removal
All right.
because that L-shaped wall.
So it sounds like we're on to item number 3 in our packet, which is the flagpole. Okay. And there is a proposal, Concert Flag Company. And this is for $3,128. Do we have any other bids? Anybody else?
They're a state contractor.
Oh, they came from the bid list. Okay.
All the legwork's been done.
So was there any flagpole provided for? How about on this? How about just flagpoles on the side of the building? Like some of us do on our homes?
There was no flagpole provided for.
Nothing. $3,000 for a flagpole seems like a lot.
I can build
There's
one
a
this
whole,
winter.
it's a thing, Mary. I mean, it's gotta go so many feet down to be able to stand so much wind, and then you gotta factor in the size of the flag versus the pole. So I think Bill asked for, what we could get by with in that location. How big is the flag that they spec? I haven't seen that. Well,
It's the flags included with the cost of it. I don't remember what the size was exactly. It's gonna be similar to what we have out here.
It's a 5x8.
That's a fair amount of wind resistance.
We have the specs right here. I'll build a flagpole for nothing this winter.
all right.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll see if I can get Max Steel to maybe donate some steel for it. Town has to pay for
Putting it in.
materials, obviously. Couldn't, the town will have to pay for the materials, but I'll build the flagpole.
The other
for
one we
nothing.
built was
That'd be
stainless.
awesome.
It's easy enough.
We built a stainless one. That's what was
Yeah.
there.
Thank you.
Pipe, and then we just reduced it down, started out with 2 or 3 inch pipe, and
Yeah.
the tricky part is being able to put the flag up and down.
Yeah, you gotta put the pulley in the top and all that.
Run it through the-
Yeah, that one had the exterior, but I can put the pulley right in it.
So,
Build a little door for the side and put the rope inside it. And
okay.
What was the big long discussion, Bill? You remember whether it was gonna be a globe or an eagle on the top? You remember this discussion at the fire
I
station?
like gold
Went
balls.
on and on and on and on about what to put at the top of the flagpole. I was
Oh,
like, oh my
God.
God.
I'll decide what we put top of the flagpole.
Oh, you're building it. long as it
What
doesn't say
about putting
Hathaway
it-
Construction. it
No
should be a-
promises.
What about putting it in place?
I'm sure we can figure that out.
Okay,
Yeah.
just trying to look ahead and budget for it. So we should just put this aside. The bid, thank you very much.
We got this-
Appreciate your offer.
The specs on the bid, so
Okay.
I know what to build.
Ah, jeez.
All the specs are here.
Bill, thank you very much. Anything else on the public safety building?
Just want to extend an invitation if any of you want to go in and see it. The ceilings are up, the sheetrock's up, it's painted, the beams are being highlighted, it's starting to really come together. All the doors are hung. It's really starting to look like a functioning building.
Have they anticipated a finish date?
Yeah, I don't want to say. It
Okay.
just keeps slipping away.
What was it? Did we have a finish date in the contract?
November
Found-
1st, but
Huh?
November 1st was their target date in the contract, but the unsuitable materials is what they claim has pushed it beyond that.
So is there a point where they can be penalized for being beyond their contract
Not that I'm aware of.
penalty clause? We
Yeah.
missed that.
There was no time of essence.
So we're probably like January 15th.
They really want to be out of there as bad as we want to be in there, so I'm hoping against hope, but I think this month we'll be able to start. We're already moving in like the server trays, and Bill's been working with the communications people to get that thing all squared away, so.
Do we have heat yet?
What?
Do we have heat
Yeah,
yet?
we should have had heat this week. Yeah.
I should have asked Chief Clark, and I didn't, so I'll ask you. The donation letter, the letter requesting donations to the businesses, have we had any response? This is for the Cascade system.
Yeah, I've not been included in that loop, so I don't know.
Okay. Bill, do we know? And where were responses coming? Were they coming here or were they coming to the chief?
Attention to the chief. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I might see, we'll see him, so I'll see him next week anyway. And then shifting hats, if you will, for a minute. The state inspection that happened down at the Cortina, 6 weeks ago? And then they had a fairly short timeline to fix things. Do we know if they fixed things down there?
I asked, there's been no follow-up.
There's been no follow-up from the
Not
state.
that I'm aware of, no, when I asked. And while we're talking about that, I had sent you all a letter that I had written to the local fire safety official. Early on, I had requested the town enact its own ordinance that mirrored the state.
Right.
Kevin came back and said, for all intents and purposes, the jurisdiction hasn't been changed, but it has been changed. The statute makes it very clear that the state is primary and that I would be subservient to what they do. They were called to a situation in town where a person asked if they could stay in an outbuilding of someone else's house for a while. And the owners agreed to it, but then the person wouldn't leave and called Department of Public Safety to complain about the lack of heat and other services in the building. And so the state responded, being the primary on landlord tenant, and they determined that they didn't have enough information to conclude there was an actual tenancy going on, and therefore they did not have jurisdiction. So I asked, well, how does that affect my role? And she said, well, we're primary. If we don't have jurisdiction, you don't have jurisdiction. I just got to thinking about that. There clearly is a de facto landlord-tenant relationship going on there. And I'm troubled that they kind of sidestepped it by saying, well, there's no lease and we can't confirm the payment of any rent. There's somebody living in a structure that's not safe. And I just don't know what to do about it. And as I thought about it, if we have adopted our own health code, any decision. So let me back up for a minute. Let's say that I decide to challenge the state's position on this situation by going there, doing my own inspection and writing up a remediation plan that addresses the health concerns, okay? And they'll just deny that because if either one wants to appeal that decision under the state statute, it goes to the next higher up in command on the public safety department.
Okay.
All right. If we have our own ordinance and I make a determination there's a hazard, it's appealed to you as the Board of Health, and then it would go to Superior Court. So there's a different review mechanism that you all might be interested in retaining local control over by passing a mirror image of the state's law.
So let's do this because Kevin issued his letter and sent it to us. But now you have this as an example of what happens in real life. Could you send that to Kevin, please?
Sure.
And
All in favor of us having our own ordinance.
and well,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
think we've talked about, I think
we
the
have
one-
talked about it and we sent it to Kevin to look at it. Then
'cause I think that
so-
would empower JP to do the things at Cortina that
So
are not getting done.
And Bill, if you could put this on maybe the next meeting agenda, and this would be revisit local health ordinance adoption, please. And we'll try and get, I mean, if Kevin has a chance to look at this, see your point, and hopefully you can talk with him about it. a
I
little
would
bit.
love the authority
Yeah.
to be able to talk to them
Yes,
about it.
please.
Okay,
Yes, please.
I will do that.
And we'll see if this, I mean, this makes sense, what you just told me, so, and if we have our own ordinance and we don't get preempted from it,
Right,
yeah,
right. And you maintain local control over the issues.
yeah.
So your recommendation is that we mirror the state statute as a local ordinance?
Yep. But I'll ferret that through Kevin and report back to you.
Yes,
Because we need to,
The last
somebody
thing,
willing to do their job and their hands are tied. It's very annoying. You know, you're out there doing this, but you can't do anything. That doesn't even make sense.
yeah, and at some point, I think the welfare of that person living in that building has to be paramount to whatever we do.
Right. I mean,
But the last thing I had was, earlier this evening, I had asked Mike about perhaps posting a couple of signs in Northwood like we have over at Dewey that the premises are video monitored. And I guess Bill has there's the signs right there. Bill had generated those. And I'll tell you why I think that's important, because during the period when I'm closing the gate, April 1st to November 1st, I'll do a ride around the park. I may not close that gate the first time I go through the park. I might go into another neighborhood for a little bit. And when I come back, a couple of times I found people in there. And I think it would be helpful if we had the video notice up when you drive in the park so that it might govern your activities accordingly. People are going to be driving in the park if the gate is open, is what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
They always have in the winter and spring when it's not locked.
Does anybody monitor that camera after hours? I mean, if somebody got locked in there and they stood below a surveillance camera and went, help,
Yeah.
would that?
It's not a
No.
live monitoring. I mean, we really only go to it if there's an event we need to,
Okay.
capture.
still be there in the morning waving when Dave and his crew show up.
Right.
And if it's a
Could happen.
weekend, it'll be Monday.
Well, before we started towing, we'd lock the gate, even if there was a car in there, and leave a note on the window. You can pick up your car in the morning. Yeah, and one night I went there and the gate was totally removed from the hinge. That's why I asked for the towing authority.
We can remedy that too, you know.
Moving right
Ability to remove the gate, yeah.
More welding projects?
Yeah. Small one.
So you might not have been involved. And I did send something to Mike Delehanty about the building on the corner of Gleason and Route 4. And somebody had a photo and I passed the photo along and just asked him to kind of let us know, because we had asked him to pursue what you did down on Perkins Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another property on North Grove Street that I'm pulling the
Okay.
paperwork together to do that. But I do know that Mike has been on top of John in terms of that building. They're talking anyway. Yeah.
John's really good at talking.
Talking is a wonderful thing.
Pardon?
There's 2 cars there now.
There's 2 now? Okay.
one camper, 2 cars,
Oh,
or
okay.
SUVs. There was just one car, because I drive that road to my house. There were 2 cars there when I came down tonight.
Okay. Yeah,
I'll give Mike a call and give him a heads up.
thank you. Appreciate it. Anything else for our town health officer, public safety building clerk, or second constable? Thanks, JP. Bill Sweet, town administrator. Oh, sorry, Barbara, you're back.
I never left.
You can't read lips.
We can hear you. This is good.
Okay, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Yeah, just a couple of updates and Bill can have his turn here. With the Act 250, the updated, the revised Act 250, you were interested in finding out about, I think it's number H here, village center designations.
Yeah.
So I did speak to the state ACCD, which is responsible for designations, which are sunsetting at the end of 2025. So I spoke to him about the possibility of a village center there in Center Rutland. There would be probably no other place in town that it would be possible. And even there, it would be the town office building and maybe several on the other side of the cemetery, maybe a couple of the commercial places to the west of the town office. It wouldn't be much. So there is another option. Part of that revised Act 250 is that there's going to be a new designation process, and the regional planning commissions are going to have a role in that. And so they will actually be mapping all of the designations going forward once that act is figured out. And there's some initial training and discussions about all that next week, and that will be ongoing, I'm afraid, for a while, while they figure out this Act 181. But it looks like there might be another option for our town in getting some sort of designation and maybe meeting the criteria for the preferred status that we're looking for, the Act 250.
Well, we were wondering if it was worth it. Yeah, Matt?
Yeah, I'm confused. So I thought that was the issue that we were talking about. He's saying the standard would be different. So there might be an area beyond the one that you just described.
We might be able, I don't know exactly how it's going to work out, and there might be different types of designations, but it will be up to the regional planning commissions to map all this out for their regions. And we just need to figure out, what will be allowed, with that, with the new designations, with the new mapping and things like that.
Okay. So at this point, I mean, I kept putting it on the agenda because when Regional Planning Commission person, no, his name escapes me.
Devin.
Devin, thank you. Came in and talked with us about it. There were 2 things in order to get the enhanced status. One was to have a designated village center, and the other was to have adopted zoning. And it sounds like there's not much interest in pursuing the zoning. And it sounds like it's fairly impractical, at least at this point, to have a designated village center unless it's right here. And then it's like, eh. So maybe we should just say the enhanced status under Act 250 is not for us at this time. And take it off the agenda. What do people think?
I think so.
If they come up with some different criteria that would make us, but these are criteria we can't, or conditions we can't meet.
Yeah, the sheet just doesn't fit.
Even if we approve some type of zoning, we're not going to be able to come up
The
with.
village, unless the regional commission, as they go through the process, revisit Rutland town. Sounds like you'll be visiting other towns with the same.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The uniqueness of this donut is
Yeah.
causes us a certain amount of headaches.
No, really. So, if it's okay with folks, I won't put it on the agenda. And if Barbara and the Regional Commission think we ought to relook it in the future because they've got different information or different criteria, we'd be happy to hear back from you. But
Okay.
thank you for looking into it, and thanks to the, I think the Planning Commission took a look at it too, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll pass that along to Devin. The only other thing really is that I'm working on the pre-application for the Pocket Park grant through the state. This would be the one for recreational trails, etc. Up to $50,000, 10% match, I think it is. I'll work on that. And would you like to see that before it gets submitted?
I would personally, but I don't know if the rest of we don't usually pre-approve grants. We just grant applications. We approve them if we receive the grant. But I'm interested in it. So if you have time, and you have a chance to shoot me the draft, I'd be happy to look at it. Does anybody else want to see it? No? Okay. All right. Thank you.
If they give us a grant, then we'll be able to say.
I know, it would be, yeah.
Mhm.
Especially with the 10% match. Yeah. Okay. Any questions for Barbara? Don't forget to work on your budget. We don't have a set time for the Planning Commission, but we want to hear what you folks think you're going to need for budget.
We did designate December 10th though as our review of all budgets, so that's when we'll need them for.
Yeah, prior to December 10th.
We designated that a special night for
How
budget.
come we didn't? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
So we won't be, we can focus on just what we're doing that night and any
Right.
unexpected business that might come before us.
Yeah. Okay. So December 10th, but it'd be really nice if you had it to us like early December.
That should be no problem. Yeah. Yeah, we went over a line item, the legal assistance that we needed from Kevin, because basically because the work, there was a backlog of work in his office, for us at his office. So it all came through, this past budget year. It's probably, it was work that should have been done over 2 years' time. And but it's a simple budget. It's not going to be hard to put a new one together.
Okay. If there's nothing else for Barbara, thank you very much.
Okay. Second time's a charm.
Yeah. Okay, Bill Sweet, Town Administrator.
Evening.
Good evening.
Few things. I did not get any additional feedback from any department heads on our local hazard mitigation plan update. I did not receive any public comment. So unless the board has anything, where Stephanie's good to keep moving forward.
I have about 3.
Okay.
And it's more like comments. I'm glad the focus, the stats on page 4 speak to Rutland Town having quite a high percentage of elderly.
Yes.
And so anything thinking that goes into that, how we deal with folks who are elderly, either stranded in their homes or needing to be evacuated, that's a pretty big thing.
That was a lot of our discussion when it came to like roads and power and things like that. That was our vulnerable population discussion.
Yeah,
Yes.
good. On the heavy rain situation, which I think most people figure that's what we're going to get whacked with one of those. I didn't see a lot about, well, I don't know, maybe you did, but what happens when on-site septic fails and and wells and springs get contaminated? And with a widespread, real heavy rain, a lot of runoff, either of those things could happen. So real thought about emergency permits.
Sure.
It's what happened during Irene. There was the
Yeah.
process that the state had for doing emergency repair. You probably were involved with some of that. No, you might have been.
Not for Irene, no.
Okay.
No.
So just, were you? Yeah. And then the last thing was, I think I finally got a handle. They kept referring to percentage of respondents, and I kept thinking, how many people actually responded? And I think this is when Marty was up at the transfer station, and he got, what, 17 people to fill out?
Might have been more than that. There,
Okay.
so there was an addendum or two that Stephanie
Yeah.
said was not on there yet, that she was
Oh.
still calculating, but yes, it's that information will be part of it when we get the plan, the full draft done.
Okay, I mean, so that needs to be a
Yes.
little more prominent.
With
so we-
quantification of it, yes.
we Understand,
Yep.
okay. Those are the only things that I
Great.
spotted.
I wanted to, as this is all getting developed, I think the town needs to start looking towards a sediment management plan for East Creek from Route 7 to the basic Glen Dam.
Okay.
As right now, in the area of East Pittsburgh Road, that flat section is so silted in with gravel right now that even a heavy thunderstorm, the river actually jumps out of its bank, runs down through the horse paddocks, and then back into the river.
Okay.
So during Irene, it did jump and it ran across soccer fields and cut East Pittsburgh Road off. And some of that's because of the lack of capacity in that stream right now.
Yep. So that section of the stream was a part of our discussion already. So
Yeah.
but I can pass it along. Yep.
Bennington and Middlebury have already engineered these sediment management plans, and I know the town of Clarendon's looking at it as well.
Okay.
So it's a pre-engineered plan that has different points on the river that you can measure. And once sediment reaches a predetermined point, the state will give you a permit to clean the
Oh.
river.
Gotcha.
So it's having the pre-engineered plan in place. A lot of it's to protect structures, and that East Pittsburgh Road Bridge is a major structure that could be compromised from that. So
So if you have the plan in place, you get the permit way easier?
they pretty much just give it to you.
Okay,
Yeah. Once you have reached that criteria of whatever your plan says, they give you the permit, you dredge it.
okay.
I'm so flat. That section's really flat and it just
Yep.
deposits everything right there.
Yeah, Clarendon has the same issue on Cold River, right there from Route 7 down to the creek, right through there. That's I
Okay.
think they call it a alluvial fan.
During Irene, it came up pretty high.
Yeah, and it's silted. I mean, that
Yeah.
gravel in at least
Steve's
6
got a
feet.
stake where it came up to,
Yeah,
and it's amazing to see how far it came up.
yeah, that gravel in at least 6 feet there underneath the bridge.
So do you get to do remedial? As in, if you identify now that it shouldn't be as high?
Yeah, so that you have to go back. It has to do with, especially in the area of bridges, there's a design capacity of the bridge that has to do with heights from the bridge bottom to the riverbed. And that's one of the factors that they take into account.
Okay,
So once it's silted up, then the capacity of your bridge reduces. So.
Sure.
It's something, it would take a long time to get all this together, but it's something we gotta start moving towards before we have
any
an
other
issue.
places in town?
Really the only big issue place I can think, and this Center Rutland mess always floods, but that's not.
I know, and
That's not necessarily a capacity issue, it's
Yeah.
just where all the water goes
Floodplain,
type of
like it's a
issue.
floodplain, that's where it's supposed to go.
The
Yeah,
other
Yeah.
place is McKinley Avenue, but that's
Yeah.
because it's the narrow spot is where that bridge is there by Hindy's Garage.
yeah,
yeah,
That's a choke point.
Yeah.
Just the terrain makes it so that the water cannot, there's no place for it to go.
which that might, maybe we lump that in with this sediment management plan.
Yeah, I don't know what
I don't know what the capacity is on that bridge, but
it needs to be a lot more than it is because during Irene, during Irene, the water backed up there so bad, it was 3 feet deep in the field below the fire station. And it was 7 feet deep in Danny's garage. And it was over the bridge. There was a foot of water or more over the bridge. When it went down at midnight or so, Byron went down with the loader and scraped the mud off. and we could get out, but for a while, we couldn't get out of McKinley Station any direction but Pittsford.
Because I drove up to McKinley Station
Yeah,
when
you
things were
couldn't
really
go up Route,
blocked.
you couldn't go
Yeah,
up Route 7 because it was
yeah,
flooded.
you couldn't.
McKinley was flooded and they closed the bridge by the golf course because so much water was pounding through there. They were concerned about the integrity of the bridge and they closed that bridge.
So do we need to, because now we've got McKinley Fire and Police, or we will have very shortly. Do we need to do anything to really make sure we can get at it?
Well, the back way out is
Yeah.
the way it's always been, Grove Street, Prospect Hill, and usually up the East Pittsford Road, but then they closed the bridge up there on Meadow Lake Drive
Mhm.
for the same reason, so there's, I mean, during those major events, towns were covering other towns
Yeah.
because you could get there.
Yeah.
The city couldn't get out of the city because they couldn't go out Crescent Street.
Yep.
So there was a section like the guys at Center Rutland were protecting portions of the city because there was no way for the city to get to there and Clarendon and it was the first time in that I can ever remember Route 3 being flooded.
Mhm.
That you couldn't get across Route 3. There was sections of Proctor that the town was covering and vice versa, everybody was kind of jumping in there a little bit, but
Creek Road was covered, but not,
yeah.
not by much.
Mhm.
So that might be something.
Yep.
And I didn't, maybe you saw it in there, the cooperative network among all of the municipalities to cover each other. If
So that there's an aspect of that, but so that's a different, it is part of it, but this more focuses on our town, like what our local hazards are, and then how we kind of address that. But the mutual aid part of it is a separate thing, but yeah, it is.
All right, so we
Discussed.
should have some way of accessing our fire and police departments.
Yep.
And we gotta figure that out. I mean, hey, police could come back here.
That's part of it.
Yep. Fire could go over there. Okay,
Thank
anyway,
you. No, that's
Thank
very
you.
good. Thank you. Everything else I had was part of the agenda or the packet, so you wanna
alrighty,
just go right down through it.
yeah.
So the next thing I had from the packet was a water connection request.
Yeah.
This is tied to a current subdivision application, which is going to be heard at the next planning commission meeting. This was just, if they get their subdivision, they're gonna build a small house. If they build a small house, they're gonna need a water connection. So
It is small.
yes, I talked with Robert Clark. There's no concern with capacity for a house this size, so he was all set. So now it's on to you.
Okay. So we don't sign anything, but we do approve it.
Yes, it does require action, but there's no signature
This
on
is
it.
So this
number
is off
one
of
in
that
your
new
packet.
line we just ran.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the Post Road, the new hookup at Post Road. Discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
All right.
Aye. Okay, everybody's, so I just, yeah.
Yeah, you're all set.
Okay.
That's everything I needed. Number 3 in your packet, we got request from the Chamber of Economic Development for the Rutland region for projects that are going on in municipalities, and they have a form that goes along with it. If there is anything that we wanted to include, we have some time to do it.
Yeah, not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot.
I'm not, it was sort of fuzzy. I was trying to figure out what would fit.
Yeah. me
You've
too.
given it some thought. What would fit?
I didn't have anything specifically, and we have things that are kind of going on, but nothing that could kind of fit into.
We've got rehabbing downstairs.
Yeah.
I know Northern Borders did, gave a grant for the Farmers Food Center. So that's an example, I guess, of the kind of stuff they cover. We've got the Pocket Park. Barbara's pursuing something there. I don't know. Can you folks think of anything? I don't know. Can we get a cascade system or APHIS machine with?
Somebody perked up.
Cool.
Oh,
So
a new pool or preliminary planning for a new pool,
Oh, boy.
you know?
We're too
Under,
broke for
public
that.
public
so-
facility.
Yeah,
I don't think the entranceway to this building would qualify, would it? Even though we're making it handicapped accessible. I had
I don't
Bill
think
do
it's
a
large
little
scale enough.
research.
all right. Priority project.
What is the effect of this? I mean, this is so that somebody
like-
can alert us to available grant money.
Well, like I said, they'll be used by state, or different organizations to understand funding needs and to kind of direct funds in the future, but it's just kind of like, what's the financial need of the area to see what funding is needed. So it's not like it's not a direct line to like, here's our project, here's the funding. It's an idea to say, this area needs X number of dollars in funding for these kind of projects.
It's,
Guess we can slap the pool in there.
I
if you
think
go to
that's, yeah.
the second page there, it says infrastructure, public facility.
Mhm.
Public facility.
We got the downstairs here and the
Well,
in the pool, yeah.
Pool.
well, if you want to, we had talked about changing the entranceway and putting, so it's too small to put in a airlock like you're supposed to have. So Bill went out and got some figures on changing the front and making that handicapped accessible.
Yeah.
And it comes in at the tune of around 27 grand. To change the
All right.
front, to put a door in.
This is the kind, this actually this is a range of stuff because they sometimes come with big grants or little grants.
Mhm.
And 27,000 for handicapped
Accessible
accessible.
door to
Yeah.
the town office.
And then,
The worst they're gonna do is tell us no.
well, they're not gonna tell us anything. It doesn't sound
Right,
like
not-
they're just
that's a-
gonna say,
It's information
Okay.
gathering. Yeah.
so
information
let's
gathering
add the pool,
information.
which is probably gonna
I'd add a
be
couple of things. like
several
that.
million.
Put the pool, the downstairs renovation,
Downstairs.
and the entranceway to the building.
Do I get my pocket park? Okay,
That might be a different pocket. lunch.
I know, but
Yeah.
we're gonna tell them, they wanna know what our needs are.
Right. So the other thing that I had mentioned, to Bill, and this is a little off track, but I said, maybe when the LCT does their safety grants, we got them to go with the cameras for the trucks. And that-
Townwide water system.
Yes. But
We could have some facts and figures in that. I don't think we have either at the moment.
but let's go for the
17.1
study
million
of the townwide waters, need for a townwide water system, because we were gonna pursue that. We got cut off when the funding got
Yeah.
cut off. So let's put that back in.
Okay.
So we got like 5
Well,
things.
It was
now.
identify,
Great.
that original thing was for the grants to identify needs, or wasn't that what it was,
Yeah.
whatever? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, every one of the fire districts that are on private wells are
Need it.
going to need to be part of the city's
Yes.
water system. Within 10 years, they're all gonna be on that water.
The city, their DPW committee or whatever they have is looking for a consultant on that subject also. And so there's at some point, hopefully in the not too distant future, there'll be a need for an intermunicipal meeting.
I think that this is because of all those new water quality requirements. What used to be okay for the rural fire districts is no longer gonna work.
That's why Fire District 1 is
Yeah.
doing what it's doing.
Yeah, and everyone up there in Matt's neighborhood up there, they're all gonna go and some of those are gonna require pumping stations to make adequate pressure to operate. Yeah, so that's probably the single biggest hurdle the town residents face. They're not municipal systems now, but I guess it's our job to kind of aid and help where we can and make this work.
Ours was one of those identified as not having a generator as well.
I think so. Yep.
So, all right,
Yep.
so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. Did you get them all?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I think I have a 3,000 character limit for the
I
description of problems,
saw
so that'll
that.
be, I'm gonna use those up
Abbreviate.
yeah.
That's
We'll-
fine.
We'll see how that goes. Okay, sounds good. Next thing, number 4 is the Regional Emergency Management Committee. Appointing 2 voting members, which was Marty and myself, and can be again, Marty and myself And if you're so inclined, the form is ready to be just signed.
Form is ready to go with Marty and Bill.
So move authorizing the chairman to sign.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion?
Good luck.
And if not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? It's done.
Thank you. Next thing is
Thanks for serving.
absolutely. Otter Creek Communication Union District Annual Report. They're required to send it on to the boards. So there you go.
Did
Have it.
we appointed some folks? to
Yes,
this, right?
they've been active. They've been very good. So
Good.
They,
Okay.
and they got I'm assuming they
they're,
got this.
they're part of this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're part of the, yep,
Good.
actually,
Cool.
yep, they're,
So I was confused by this, and I don't know if you can explain it, or maybe they want to come in and visit us, but it sounded to me like they were saying, well, we suddenly got all of our work done and now we're done. But then they're budgeting for more.
no, there's still more work to do. There's still parts of the town that don't have service and that's still working on, but no, this is, they have goals they try to meet every year, and I think that's what they're meeting. They met
just
a lot of
met
their
that year's
goals. Yeah,
goals, not
no,
all
they're
of-
still
oh, okay.
they're still moving forward. They're still working on
That
it.
wasn't clear.
No, they've done a lot of good work. It's
I went thumbing through. I mean, they were showed us the expenditure side of their budget, and then I was thinking, where do they get the money?
a lot of towns contribute. And they have state
looks like a
funding, and
fairly
there was
substantial-
there was ARPA money that went into them, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
It said the Otter Creek CUD officially relinquished its unused allocated funds in September of 2024 to the DCBB Vermont.
yeah, for broadband,
Total-
developmental, something for broadband. Commission
So
for
they
broadband.
don't need any money from us.
No, they're not asking for, they're not asking for any money, so,
All right.
no, that's good. You want me to give them, so it's okay.
Okay.
Next thing, number 6 in your packet is our annual town report contract. They have 3 options this time for 1, 2, or 3 years. I mean, they've been excellent. And if we
Yeah.
do the 3-year, we have a predictable price. And it does kind of help keep us a little protected from any sudden changes. So
Did we do 3 years last time?
we did 2 years. They didn't have a 3 option last time.
Okay.
We just did 2. So,
But we don't have to pay them all at once, right? It's
oh, no,
just
no, no.
for-
It's yeah, no, it's annually. Yeah. This is this is to cover the physically printing the reports. We have a separate expense for the postage for
Postage.
mailing them, but that's included in the general budget. So
Something we need to do tonight.
yes, please.
Does
Well, I mean,
this-
it's coming up like it.
So I'd move that we accept the 3-year contract for 24, 25, and 26. reports.
Okay.
The price of $6,150 per year, or roughly $451 per copy.
We have 7,000 in the budget for this year because we actually anticipated it going up over last year. So yeah, we're well positioned.
Motion's made and seconded. Did that include having the chair sign?
Is there a place for that? Just one signature?
Way down the
There is.
Yes,
bottom.
it does.
Yeah.
I heard it.
Okay. Discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 I sure
Motion
do like
carries.
the idea that we're doing stuff, preemptive or beforehand instead of waiting until, oh yeah, we're supposed to have this done last week.
Yeah,
We're
I
getting better.
know. We are. We are. Okay,
That is.
plus we're within budget too.
Yeah, and
That's pretty exciting.
saving a little bit of money. We actually ordered less. We ordered an entire box less this last time, and we're down to like 20.
Okay.
So I'm not uncomfortable with that number. I mean, it's less than we've had before, but in past years, we've had some years we've had 3 to 4 cases of town reports, which is just
It's too
very
much.
wasteful. So
Yeah.
I think the number we got last year was very good. It was, so, yep, that's part of the reason we're down.
And the reason you have so few left is because I keep going out and grabbing one when I want to look up something.
Pretty
Okay.
soon you're gonna find a whole stockpile of them somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Unfortunately, Dell says he gets the week after, so they come
Oh.
out. Dell says he gets a lot of them up there, but I ain't too bad.
Okay. Is that it for, let's see, you were red.
I was red, yes.
So we did the water under D, we did E, the annual appointment, we did F, printing of the town report. We did it's blue, but we did the post road paving.
Well, that was for Dave.
Yep. And then, oh, okay. So committee reports. Oh, first, people have any questions for Bill? We'll just have him sit there for a
So
minute.
this thing, Bill, with the chart and the seats and stuff, is that just,
So that's the furniture, that's tables and chairs for the Emergency Operations Center.
okay,
The Homeland Security grant that Ted missed one extra
Oh,
submittal
yeah.
on that we didn't get opened up today.
Good.
So Ted and I are working on applying for that to furnish that room. So
Okay.
that would be all the technology and the furniture. So that's our furniture quote. That's a state vendor. So we should have no problem with that. I've got two separate state contract companies working on giving us quotes for technology for that room. Ted had got one early on, and that company just threw out a number to us, and it was a lot. Over $100,000 just for technology, which is just
oh, baby.
wow. So we are taking a different approach, and we have two Vermont companies that are on the state contract list that are now I'm going to meet with them independently to show them the space, and they're going to give us a quote and make it a little hopefully more cost effective.
So-
The grant can be up to 100% funding, so we're not sure yet, but that would be,
So does
would be
that
good.
mean are we supposed to order things first, or are we supposed to wait?
We can't. So if we order it, we won't be able to get it from the grant. So
So we gotta sit on our hands for a little while to see where,
Yeah.
but that's doable. So was that part of our discussion with trying to find funds to outfit this room? Or
We
I think the
have,
technology was supposed to be in that $33,000 number.
no, the technology was supposed to be part of, we were hoping that the grant we received for the room would include the technology, but it didn't. And we never got back to it. We only ever got the one quote. It was $125,000.
Which technology are we talking about then?
Like they had put in for audio video systems, for computer screens. They put in a whole workstation, a whole separate computer workstation just for Marty, which was overly complicated for what it needed to be. So, and to be fair, Ted he didn't really give them much parameters other than we have 20 by 20 workroom for Emergency Operations Center. And tell us what you can do. And they gave a very thorough quote.
It's like they answered the question as it was phrased.
Yeah. So we're a little smarter at this than when we started. So Ted and I are working we gave them parameters, but we want one large screen on the wall that shares the apparatus bay. We're going to have a box on the desks to connect computers to project it, and some microphones, and it should be a lot less, but a lot less complicated. So simple is much better. Yeah, so we're working on that, and they both companies know we have kind of a short timeline on this because we have to get it back. I think December 6th is the due date for the grant application. So we want to get it. We want to definitely get it in before then. So, but I should have. I think this week I'm meeting with both of them. I think Wednesday and Thursday maybe. But they want to see this. They just need to see the space because they know what they're working with. So, but the furniture is part of the room, but we can't. If we order it, we're not going to really be able to get it as part of the grant. So we just kind of wait.
okay,
It's not something we need right off anyway.
we could put a couple of,
put chairs in there for now and get
Put
by. We could
chairs.
use what we had
that's
to
right.
get by. And this is one of those things that you don't want to mess up the grant if it's a.
No, we don't. Nope. So that's just this is what we have. And that's the company that we worked with for other parts of the building too. So they've got some of the police department furniture and stuff like that. They've got already done. And so we're moving forward on that. So
Okay. All right, looks like everything in the folder.
should have been.
Yep. And so this goes here.
I'm on paper.
And so committee reports. Matt. Personnel Committee.
Personnel Committee met. Our final review of the draft personnel manual. And so Teresa's be doing some clean up on that document, and hopefully soon we'll have something passed on to all of you through your email reading.
Did you guys discuss the topic of salaried employees and what we'd expect of them in terms of their salary? Would that be part of that personnel policy? It would be, wouldn't it?
Not discuss it. I'm
Not because we were ignoring you, it was because we were beyond that part and we were trying to finish up the last few sections.
I'm
of
just
it.
thinking that that's something we need. If
Yeah.
that's where that has to be, it
Yes,
would be part of that. I think that that would be good to have in place. So those folks that work for the town would understand what we expect for them for what they get paid. And I do think a lot of businesses that do attach an hourly figure to that salary, what's there, because I believe out there in industry, if you're a salaried employee, if you go over a certain number of hours in a work week, they do pay overtime or something. So we need to take a look at that,
Okay.
the situation. I just think to be fair, I mean, you guys have done a lot of work on this for a year or
Yeah.
more. And it's so we're in the middle of it. We might just as well ask all
don't
this.
say middle, we're
We're,
close to
all
the
right,
end.
we're on the tail end of the middle of it. So we ought to take and, address some of these things that are out there. And we, that may avoid some
Well, we're
hurt
coming
feelings
up-
down the road.
We're coming up on budgeting time.
Right, and this is when we need to
Yeah.
talk about this and have some answers, because
Yeah.
I am assuming there are some rules out there that govern some of this stuff that I don't know anything about.
Yeah, I did Kevin question as much.
Right,
more than
there's,
Teresa.
I don't know what like I say, when you get into municipal government, salaried employees, I think it's different than private sector. Been working for me, but we need to have some answers to that.
All right,
So I had two things, if you are ready for.
yeah, no, I was just going through my list, so was that also a personnel committee thing?
One, nope, nothing to do with personnel. I'll be quiet after that, and then I'll ask if you have any more personnel stuff.
I don't have any more.
This is what
personnel
happens
stuff.
when I miss a meeting. Things get piled up in my head.
And I was just gonna skip over the project list, we're actually making some progress on some of them.
We are.
Um,
6 years from now, we can take JP sidewalk off.
I know.
It's been up there for 4 years already.
Meet with members of the regional no, that's, why
We
was
did that.
that? We
Yep.
did that.
For the regional planning committee, we're going to local hazard mitigation plan. It was more
Oh.
the comments. We're good.
Okay, we did that.
We did that.
Okay, so we've got B left. Yeah. And we didn't take it up under JP, and we have, what do we do for a cost of living increase, if anything? So as we start building our budgets, and we have Joe's thing.
Do we know anybody? Look, usually you
2.5,
2.5.
the social security bump up.
Yeah. Seems like, it's the cost of living has been about, we usually do that or 3, 2.5, 3. We're right in that ballpark.
I could live with 3, it's easier to do the math.
It's a lot easier when you start playing with fractions.
Yeah. And, during,
Pretty easy number to do.
Huh?
Yeah.
What'd you say? Bill?
Yeah.
10's a pretty easy number to do math on too.
no,
Yeah.
so,
Dreaming.
Ones
so
work good.
what do you think, folks? Do we ask our committees to build?
This is a good time to do, this would be
Exactly.
unique that the board decides before the budgets are started to done and they start doing salaries.
We did it last year.
No, we did it after. The budgets were already started and then they came back. I know Dave had his done. I think some of the others, police were done, and then we said, okay, we're gonna do this amount. So I would go with 3.
Sharon?
3's fine with me.
Yeah,
guess. I mean, I really hadn't thought about it before tonight. I don't have any
Right.
data to go on other than the social security.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
really.
mean, that's
but-
usually the guideline we use.
We have, then there was the one year when
Got a little crazy a couple of years.
we,
Well,
yeah,
that
I mean, it
COVID
was.
stuff really messed everything. I mean, one year we did like, what, 5 or 6?
Well,
Six, I
yeah, I think the former chair wanted to do like 10
Mhm.
Over a period of 2 years,
and we did.
we did the 10.
6. I think
Over the
we
period of 2
probably
years,
did.
we did pretty close to the 10
Yeah,
to try to keep up with, because that stupid COVID year has messed
Yeah.
everything up and there ain't no going back. You know, it's like a ratchet system. Once you get up
Yeah.
there, it just doesn't, never recline.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we also have to keep the good employees we have. So,
and, you know, some places don't do this every year.
no, I know.
I mean, we tried to do that. We picked up the was it the childcare act,
Yes,
which
we
isn't
did.
a lot of money, but we're
That's
covering
okay.
that. And we're doing the 3%. So I think we're,
That's the other thing, sorry.
Yep.
If we are holding true to everybody else, the health insurance premiums are gonna go up a lot. So we're gonna be also covering those, I would assume.
Yeah.
As part of,
so I think the 3 is fair and it's economical and
right, Kurt?
I can live with 3.
All right, okay, so we'll ask folks to build.
I get 3%, that'll be 3% more than I'm making now.
You don't get to increase your project on my land by 3%,
So,
just
so
saying.
you think?
Just saying. Okay, 3%, we'll use that.
It'll be way more than 3%.
All right.
Don't worry about
So
that.
Joe had something.
The local concerns meeting for the
Yes.
sidewalk
Yes.
is the 19th of November at 5 here.
Correct.
So it's gonna be before this meeting, our
Yes.
next meeting. And the fact that it's only got an hour space is good. I don't know if anybody, but that was one of the
That was on
requirements
purpose.
Stephanie said, even though we did this local concerns meeting when they were doing the scoping study. We still, I guess the state wanted us to do another one, because the state kind of driving this bus because they're
Yeah.
paying for it.
Most of it.
And they are really driving a really squiggly road. But anyway, we'll do it. So the
But we did it
14th,
for
we're
some
getting,
other,
Huh?
there was some other project where we had to have a public meeting.
yeah, I think there's gonna be 2 for this.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is the first of
First
2.
one.
This allows the public to come out and voice any concerns. I don't believe there was hardly any concerns when they did the scoping study, but
This
one
one-
of the
this one's pretty
properties is
global.
under new ownership, so I anticipate some questions.
This one's
Um,
pretty global.
Huh?
This was a general public.
Right.
General public one. The other one was gonna be geared toward the property owners along
Property owners,
along the
so-
route. Yeah.
We'll do that. And Kurt and I and Dave are meeting with Bill and Stephanie on the 14th at 10.
Yep.
To prepare what we're gonna present for that night. And
Okay.
then we're also having a highway meeting after that. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is I don't know if the town has any policies in place for public or town-owned buildings that are not open to the public. And I think probably most of you have heard by now, there was an incident at the highway garage 2 weeks ago. Where some residents came in and verbally accosted one of our town employees. I think that we should have some kind of policy that those buildings are not open to the public in general, even though that's a public building, it's not open to the public. If the doors are open, you shouldn't be just wandering in there. And this has been going on for most of the summer and I believe, and I've talked with a few town residents and they have expressed a big concern that if they slip and fall in there or a piece of equipment or something, the town is going to be liable and we're going to be involved in a lawsuit. So I don't know if we have
Well, this building is open to the public,
this building is right,
right?
but the highway garage is not.
The highway garage.
And the fire
is- I
stations
mean,
are
if
not.
somebody wants to go talk with the road commissioner.
Then they should,
Be able
they
to get
should,
into the building.
right, and that would be by his invitation but these folks just wander in if the doors are open.
Fire stations, well, center, you have to have the code, it has to be unlocked.
Right, but if you're at a fire call and the doors are open, we just should have something in place that protects the town, that these buildings are not open to the public under normal circumstances.
We do have our public use policy. Maybe we could put
Look,
something.
if it's in there or something, but.
I don't think it is, but
Not
that might
specifically,
be
no.
the place to.
Right, but I do
put
believe
something.
that this is the way it should be. And with the fire trucks being housed in that building now, it's even, for another month, and it's a concern of mine that, you got people in there, they're in there with their dogs, and pager goes off, we're gonna have a problem. With, because we wouldn't want, you don't want people in the fire station just wandering, they're normally not open because they're only there when the guys are there, but we're gonna have a police station pretty soon.
Yeah.
And people being in the police station should be, there should be a process where you have to go through the chief or
Remember, there used to be a.
Right.
Yeah.
your
But
place
in
is gonna be
Rutland
pretty much.
City, I mean, they have a whole process to get
the-
you
but
in, yeah.
see, like during the day and it's a nice warm day, the doors are probably open if they're working in the highway garage. And in this situation arose, if you want to go, you should come through the office portion and you should be looking for the road commissioner or one of his staff, but I didn't.
Well, I mean, at the very least, we could do signs,
Yeah.
no,
No unauthorized,
maintenance.
unauthorized personnel.
use office entrance front of the building or
That's what
something.
you
like
just put.
It's a OSHA violation if they're working in there.
that. Okay, yeah.
Somebody comes in without personal protective equipment on.
And I think that, if somebody gets hurt, even though they're figuring, well, I got hurt and I was on the town property, so it's the town's fault.
I did look, the league does not have any model policies on it at all.
Of
so.
course
thank you.
not.
But,
I tried to
maybe
look for that.
Kevin could, if we wanted to ask Kevin
Um,
for, or we can come up with something. I just think if you post signs up
So
there that
what-
say no
What
unauthorized
does
person.
Clarendon do? Does Clarendon have, for the fire station?
If the bays are open, we essentially. You're inviting the public in by having the bays open.
And usually if you're there on a mutual aid and you're hanging around and somebody stops and they want to come in and talk, it's usually in an orderly fashion. I think if somebody got disorderly, they would be, but we didn't, my 45 years ago on the McKinley station, the center station, we never had a situation like this. And
Yeah,
so,
we're privately owned in Clarendon, so
Oh, okay.
we'd kick
right,
them out
right.
with force if need be.
So, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out where we could look at a policy that might,
I know I have time this afternoon, but I'll see if I can find something. If
Okay.
anybody else has got one on it.
right?
something so everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, okay. We do have, policy for our parks.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Was that the thing?
Yep, well, that was the thing.
That was the thing. Okay.
Rather than a shotgun approach, you could use a rifle approach and tell the people, what are you doing? Don't do this again.
Yeah.
Make it known that there's going to be consequences for your actions. if you do this again. It's not a big problem.
Right.
But that opens the question too about how we deal with citizens accessing the police department. Right now, they just come in and you have to knock on the door.
Well, here, yes, this isn't ideal setup.
Yeah.
The new building has locks and whatever.
So in the new building, will you be able to get into the building to like an area where you can be
Yeah, there'll be a
a
lobby.
Yeah.
You can make a complaint or get paperwork or something like that.
Okay.
Or knock on the door, that someone can come there, but you won't have access to the.
you can't get into the functioning fire, yeah. And they won't be able to get into the fire station.
The EOC will have a lock on the door. So they have a foyer. That's as far as you can go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's just something, we're getting into it. There was a time when you could leave your doors unlocked at your house at time of your cars.
I have a dog who barks a lot. She's new. She barks a lot. So the school has the buzzer system. Are you gonna have something like that in the police? So I guess that's a question I should have asked JP, but I just thought of it. What's the Okay,
Well, Lynn will be outside the lobby most of the time. Wow.
Oh,
okay.
she's gonna be secretary receptionist.
Phone there or something. Most of the cell phones now, you can call.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, it needs to be something a little more than that. Okay, or at least an instruction. Press this button or call us, yeah. All right,
Be a little growing pains, but that's just something that came up.
all right. Anything else?
Get out and vote.
Around the
You
room,
haven't
don't
gotten
forget
out
to
and voted.
vote, no executive session needed. All right,
Mention that.
next. Just a reminder, the voting is tomorrow, you knew that, but November 6th, the school board is meeting here. They're doing, I guess, a listening session, a preliminary discussion of their budget for the coming year. So they're gonna be using our Zoom capabilities, so they'll be here.
Yep, it's too much.
Perhaps
It's
they'll
too much too
refine that
soon.
somewhat.
It's amazing that, the town passed that just barely a few months ago.
Uh,
And here we are already starting to construct the next one. That's a
It's
tough
crazy
road.
making. Okay, that's all I got. Anybody else, anything? Is there a motion? Motion made, seconded, all in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.